So Raymond, Raymond Thoughts and Mine. Sorry, that's my quail in the background. You're going to hear them. Raymond likes to talk about his, how he's miserable because he doesn't have a wife or a girlfriend, and one who's enthusiastic, who actually wants to have sex with him. Now, in my life, I've had a different problem. I've been able to have sex with women. 11. And just a side note, it's kind of absurd that I've had 11 partners. Ideally, you want to find someone you're compatible with when you're young and just be married and not have to around. That's my opinion. In any case, the modern world is what it is. I've had 11 partners. And all of them were not into me. They were consensual. Just consensual activity, but they really weren't into it. And it feels worse than not having a partner because, I'll put it this way. When it comes to sex, what I'm looking forward to is it's like pizza. And you want to get, say, the best pizza you can get. The Greek house of pizza or New York style pizza, the local house of pizza in your town. The best pizza. And if you can't have that, then alright, Domino's is okay. Pizza Hut, alright. Little Caesars, alright. Frozen pizzas, okay. The Freshetta and DiGiorno are okay. And then you have, of course, Red Baron, which is heartburn pizza. Still tastes pretty good for a store frozen pizza. Then you have the generic store pizza, which is really rough on the insides. And the bottom of the barrel is the Celeste personal pizza, which used to be like $1. Now they're like $1.50 because of inflation. And the Celeste personal pizza is the poor man's, super poor pizza, where, you cook it up and you cut it in half. This is a personal pizza you cut in half. You eat half tonight, and you save the other half for later in the week in case you get that pizza itch you need to scratch. It does scratch the itch, but it doesn't solve the itch. It doesn't resolve the itch. And so when it comes to sex, I've looking for a house of pizza. Greek pizza, Italian pizza, New York style pizza. But it ends up just being Celeste personal pizza. And, at first, maybe when you first sleep together, it's going to be Celeste pizza because you don't know each other's bodies. You're learning to find your rhythm and explore each other and all that. But you come back, okay, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. We're going to keep trying. We're going to keep trying. And as a man, I keep trying. And the woman does not. Or she's getting exactly what she wants. And part of that could be the fact that 9 out of 11 partners I've had were victims of SA, also known as grape. And so you have the psychological damage of that where what quite often happens, either you become anti-sex or you become hypersexual. Or in my experience, they're extraordinarily passive. And I put up that graphic in a previous video. We have different expectations. And they're basically reliving the grape on their own terms, where they can be passive consensually rather than non-consensually. And there's also the fact that all but two were fat. Now, I like larger women. I prefer them to be soft and cuddly and curvy. But there's the fat girl effect. I'm going to put that on the screen, where she thinks she wants to be with you until you go to be with her, and then she feels gross, and she thinks you're gross because you find her attractive. So she pushes you away. Either there's a whole market out there for women to beautify themselves, and everyone has different preferences for what they like, of course. But like, they do their hair, or they do their nails, and they wear flattering lingerie or perfume, right? And I know that there's a huge market for it. So yes, people can adorn themselves for their own personal enjoyment, no doubt, but they also do it to facilitate a more exciting engagement with a partner. And if I so much as bring it up, the women are hostile to me. So, yeah, women will sleep with me, but basically just so I could be a dildo for them. And, I'll put in effort. I try. I'll give them oral favors, and I do it well. And I know they enjoy it because they're having orgasms. They're experiencing it. But they don't want to reciprocate. And if they do, it's the minimum required to help facilitate an erection for the purpose of intercourse. And I know that means I'm just unattractive. I guess I'm attractive enough to stick a penis in them, but not to invite any enthusiastic engagement. And so Raymond, I think he's lucky, because if women don't want him, at least you're not experiencing that. That's just, it's frustrating as hell. It's miserable, but you're there. Like why did you have sex with them then? Well, I mean, you go in there, you want good quality pizza. Turns out you're not going to get good pizza, but you're both there, your bodies interlock, so like a Celeste personal pizza, you cut it in half and eat, take your share, and you scratch the itch. And it's better to be celibate than to deal with that. It's insulting. It's miserable. So I recently saw a video where I think the title was if a woman doesn't have genuine enthusiastic desire for you, then don't waste your time with her. And I'm not talking about when you get old and you're wrinkled and you're both worn out. I'm talking about when you're in your younger reproductive years. If she isn't enthusiastic about being with you, it's probably not worth your time. I mean, they can plenty of other, good things about being with somebody, dating with somebody. You could have good conversation, you can share hobbies, and all that's great. It really is. Right? It's not about the sex, but the sex becomes a focus when it's lacking. People will go off on a vacation, spend the weekend on the mountains. You might be skiing, you might be exploring historic districts, going to a play, and going out to eat and doing recreational things together. Things that they're leisurely and they're fun and they're enjoyable. And people like to have sex in hotels because it's a low-stress environment, in theory. You don't have any chores to do, you don't have to feed the animals, you don't have to take care of your kids. I gotta check the time. Anyway, you don't have to do any of that stuff. But then you go out and you do all the things, all right, we're going to cap up the night with some stress-free sex. And then, I had a good day, honey. Peck on the lips, and they go to sleep. Either A, they're looking for me to rape them, which I'm not going to do, or they're just not into it. I understand. Maybe I give off semi-gay friend vibes with a slight touch of heterosexuality. So be it. I understand that. In fact, I go so far as to say that if you have a partner and she's not willing to participate enthusiastically every time you want to, it's probably not worth it.
I want to revise that statement slightly. I think it's reasonable to refuse if one or both parties have a compelling medical reason, or if you're imminently expecting visitors, or the situation would otherwise be indecent, or you have some spiritual obligation that requires that you abstain. Otherwise, the answer should be yes, an enthusiastic yes. That's not wrong to say no. Each person owns their own body. However, if you're not receiving regularly an enthusiastic acceptance of your sexual overtures, then you have the wrong partner.
Because I'll tell you right now, being pushed away and non-enthusiastic participation just feels horrible. But you do what you want. And you can have lots of other meaningful interactions with a person that aren't sexual, but when you want a sex and they don't want it, then you're friends. You're not a couple.
I just want to give Raymond credit. He's the one who inspired me to make my channel, even though I haven't made much of it. And he recently revealed that he's got some health problems and he's going to struggle to pay for them. So I'm going to put links in the description of this video so you can go and donate to him, help him pay his bills. You know, throw him $5, throw him $10. The man has done a lot just by being courageous enough to share his vulnerability and just being like his raw self on the internet, which a lot of people are very uncomfortable with. You know, they treat him like shit, and but he keeps doing it, so he deserves, whatever you can throw his way so he can pay his bills.